Hi, I'm Pronob Sarkar. On Monday, on 25th of April 2016, I presented my second seminar in partial fulfillment of for the degree of MA Museology in National Museum Institute, New Delhi. And my supervisor was Professor Dr. Manvi Seth. She is head of the Department of Museology in the National Museum Institute, New Delhi. And my co-guide was Ms. Manjari Agarwal. She is also associated with the Department of Museology in National Museum Institute as research fellow. So I am repeating my presentation here. Let's see the content, please. The topic of my presentation was deterioration by pigeon activities and preventive conservation in the National Museum, New Delhi. And my supervisor, Professor Dr. Manvi Seth, head of the Department of Museology in National Museum Institute, and my co-guide, Ms. Manjari Agarwal, Research Fellow, Department of Museology. The objectives of my present study aims to assess, analyze, discuss various issues pertaining to museum and deterioration caused by pigeons. Secondly, to find workable solutions for preventive conservation of national building, museum building, and objects against the biodeteriorating threat caused by pigeons, with special reference to National Museum, New Delhi. Now, generally, it is essential at the very outset to understand how pigeons cause deterioration. Pigeon droppings deface, as we all know, as we see in the city park benches, on the sculptures situated on the streets, and everywhere we see the paintings, the building parts being defaced by the pigeon drops, and which is perceptible. But second thing, which is not easily perceptible, that is the impact from the pigeon droppings. And acid, a certain acid is released from bird excrement, which generates further actions. Actually, this acid, effect of acids released from bird excrement, and its acidic nature is largely the product of the organisms that live on and in the excrement. The mycelium, that is similar to roots of the fungi, enter the stone, transporting the naturally produced acids, which are strong enough to dissolve stone, especially calciferous stone and the sandstones, to form soluble salts. This process increases the porosity of the stone's structure, allowing water to penetrate more readily. And during winter, if the winter in the stone interstices freezes, the expansion of ice crystals can weaken the stone and cause pelling. In addition, the soluble salts themselves cause secondary problems, as they are dissolved and absorbed by the masonry, recrystallizing at the point of evaporation. This can appear visually as efflorescent, a bloom of salts on the surface of the stone. Where crystallization occurs just below the surface, the growth of the crystals exerts pressure on the pores of the masonry, causing the fabric to crumble. And their guano, nest, and fallen feathers harbor parasites. Actually, what is there to understand is it is the pigeon guano. It contains organics and inorganic materials, and contains keratin contents also, which is for that reason pigeon guano appears to be a very good nitrogen fertilizer also. For that reason, grass and vegetations easily grow on the pigeon drops. And harbor parasites, because parasites get food from the pigeon drops. Exposure to avian source dust created from feces, feathers and nesting materials may enhance the development of bacteria and viral zoonosis. Viral zoonosis is a health problem that is transmitted from animal to human beings, particularly the human beings who are living near the poultry units. We can see the example there. Studies have shown that the corrosive effect can continue for a long time even after the stone has been contaminated, even if the falling is removed. Apart from museum buildings and objects, pigeon guano poses health risk for the museum staffs and visitors. Bird fancies disease, histoplasmosis, cryptococcosis, and pterygosis. Actually, bird fancies disease, the exposure to accumulation of pigeons droppings can cause an allergic reaction called the bird fancies disease, an acute respiratory infection affecting the lungs of an individual. The disease is characterized by dry cough, breathlessness, and fatigue, and could also lead to fever. There are three main human diseases from pigeons with histoplasmosis, cryptococcosis, and pseudococcosis. Histoplasmosis is a disease caused by a fungus which grows in pigeon droppings. When cleaning droppings, a person may breathe in some of the fungus, which in case of high exposure can cause infection. Cryptococcosis is another fungi disease associated with pigeon droppings, and in case of pseudococcosis, which is popularly known as ornithosis or parrot fever, when bird droppings dry and become airborne, people may inhale them and get sick. This is what is called pigeon guano. You may see here pigeon guano, and because biologically pigeon has no separate tract for urination and defecation. Whatever she drops, that is pigeon drop, or you can say pigeon guano. And it is very fundamental to understand some legal issues and illegal issues relating to pigeon control. These birds fall into the general category of pest bird species, all of which are listed on Schedule 2, Part 2 of the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981, and they are therefore exempted from the protection offered by the Act. It is illegal to keep any bird in captivity, with the only exceptions being lovebirds and blue rock pigeons. And this seminar paper focuses on the deterioration caused by the blue rock pigeons in and around the Delhi, in the museum building and everywhere we see this blue rock pigeons, flock of blue rock pigeons. Now coming on to the Pigeon Deterioration National Museum. The National Museum, which is one of the most reputed and largest museums in India, established in 1949. The building was formally inaugurated by Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan on December 18, 1960. The second phase of the building was completed in 1989. Thus, the museum building, based on Lutian architecture itself, has become a national heritage of historical significance and needs special attention and care. Rashtriya Sangrahalaya, New Delhi. This is very beautiful picture and also informative about its two portions, left and right. This is the you see, this is right north portion, and this is south portion. I am now showing you the scenario in the north portion. You may see here the all the sculptures are placed in a queue along with the wall, which is not so appropriate positioning of these sculptures. I will discuss later on this. This is the scenario taken from the first floor uh, of the rotunda, at the end of the rotunda, this National Museum. There is a center portion at the ground level. This is open sky, and statues or sculptures placed in round there along with the wall. Several openings you can see there. This is the architectural map you can see here. You may see the architectural plan. This is Pigeon Guano on the sculpture of Tirthankar, very precious stone sculpture made of granite stone in 10th century AD of Pallava Chola period. This you may see the Pigeon Guano observed on the basis, on the pedestals, on the basis, on the body of the sculpture, and there is a temporary shop over here near to that sculpture. You may see. This is a wrong waste management. And this is opening of the basement, but pigeon may find her area in this gap. This unnecessary opening. This may invite the pigeons to come in. Another example. This is the window, open window, and pigeon is sitting here. This another example, another observation. Pigeons guano on a sculpture in National Museum finding the place through pore and crack. Fresh drop when enters through the crack, and after some time in a heat, if the stone receives heat, this drop will function as a hygroscopic element. This is jolts. Jolts may be weakened by the drop, acidity of the drop. Where they come for roosting and nesting in National Museum. Some spots have been observed here. And these resembles the dovecotes for the pigeons. Here you can see the dovecotes like structure, basement, window basement, and the AC openings on this floor, roof. This is from a distance. It seems a very normal scenario, but you can, if you go close to this statue, this sculpture, you may see how the pigeon drops hampered the aesthetic value of this beautiful sculpture. This also seems to be very general scenario, but you can find something when you go close to it. Now you see the pigeon drops on the head, on the shoulder. It hampers the beauty of this sculpture. This step was, I have tried to show this, then zoomed out here, the drop, then drop, and drop. You may see that level here, which is also defaced by the pigeon drop, dried drop. It is just caused by the improper cleaning of by the museum staff or ignorance. You may see the dried pigeon drop on the pedestal of the sculpture. This is a very beautiful sculpture sculpted by Chaudhary, Devi Prasad Chaudhary one. and you will see how the pigeon drops affected very adversely this sculpture's beauty. This is very near to this sculpture. There is AC installation, and this AC installation has become abode for the pigeons. And now you see the pigeon drops over her head. You see the pigeon drops on the shoulder also. The ignored area, now pigeon infested area. This is, you see, metal ladder over the sculpture. It may fall at any time on this sculpture. This, of course, in the risk management, we have to take care of these issues. This is a very informative picture. You see the tall tree, and just beneath it there are two sculptures on two sides. Suppose this tree falls on the ground, any one of these two sculptures may be damaged, certainly. You may see how close these sculptures are to this tree, and dry leaf fell near to the sculpture. Improper waste management is also promoting the pigeon activities in the area. This is inside museum. Debris are there near to the sculptures, and in the gap visitors throw their paper wastes, chocolate wastes here in this gap. This may invite the pigeons, attract pigeons. This is outside the museum building. This is the back portion of the museum building. Here you can see the monkey is there. If you take a look at it so closely, you may find the monkey. Preventive conservation measures and actions, suggestions. Building architectural pattern. There is a very big challenge for the museum staffs to do with because we can't do many things with the architectural pattern. That is because building is historically very beautiful, but some parts of this building are looking like dovecots. So this is very big challenge to deal with these issues. One thing under observation has become very clear that reasons of pigeon advent are three, mainly roosting and nesting, and food. Museum building has some ignored parts now, pigeon areas. I have discussed that on the northern portion where the sculptures are in a queue along with a wall, and the gate nearing to that, gate number 2, which is generally kept closed. So this has become an ignored part. Less human activities are also noticed in this ignored areas, so-called areas. The pigeon protection issue has been less focused. Whatever has been discussed, this comes under the domain of this point. Suggestions. These are some workable suggestions. Need immediate attention and action. Need integrated pest management, including proper waste management with formation of efficient team. You may say this is one of the effective suggestions. This unnecessary opening should be sealed. If the AC is not necessary and not working, that the entire place should be sealed, should be closed. We may do something with this because there is no use for the human visitors and the museum staffs about in this structure, but it is along with the building architectural plan, so something can be done over this area. Immediate and regular cleaning of area near sculpture may avoid the pigeon activities. Close all unnecessary openings, including the windows. Some redo works required about position of sculptures, as I have discussed that some sculptures are positioned near the tree, some sculptures are positioned near the wall, along with the wall. So something can be done. The redos should be done there. Awareness, social counseling. Visitors should be made aware of the pros and cons of the pigeon activities, particularly about the cons. Proper use of both the museum gates, including orientation visitors track, because it is observed that the back portion of the museum where sculptures, precious sculptures are positioned, their visitors do not go. So orientation should be made with help of the museum guides. Installation of suitable pigeon barriers, anti-perching and anti-entry devices. Some pigeon control products are available in the market. Anti-perching devices, anti-perching wire, sprung wire, anti-perching spikes. Anti-perching gel is not recommended in this study for the National Museum because it is sticky in nature and it may generate other problems. For that reason, anti-perching gel is not advised here in this study. Anti-entry devices, exclusion netting, that I will discuss later on after a while. Other pigeon control products are, pigeon scarer here, butt barrier coil, flashing hawk-eye using mirror, wire mesh to repair hole block, that is very effective solution to block the pigeon entry and the pigeon perching, and human scarer here. And this is how the netting can be done in the opening of a museum. This is an example I took from Albert Hall of Jaipur. You see nothing here in this area, but if you go close to it, you may find the nets. You see the nets. These are the nets. So this is very inexpensive way, but very effective way. This is another example taken from British Museum. Please do not feed the pigeons. Harris Hawk after a patrol for pigeons at the National Museum. This is a picture of that. And actually falcons, domestication of falcons near the museum to drive away the pigeon is not advisable, as the environmentalist and the ecologists also argue that falcons, introducing falcons in the area may unleash the adverse impact in the ecological, in the environment, and particularly the bird environment, because once the falcon is arrived there, all the pigeons, the whole sky will be out of pigeons. This is not recommended. Finally, the best solution is that this opening can be covered up by a fiber roofing, either fiber roofing or by exclusion netting. Example from indoor stadium. This type of work can be done in the National Museum. And thank you for watching this. So this was my presentation on 25th of April 2016 in the National Museum Institute in New Delhi as a second seminar. And I hope you have understood the various issues pertaining to the pigeon activities and how pigeon activities are a great threat for the museum objects, particularly the objects which are placed under the sky. especially the sculptures. I have tried at my best to make you aware of various issues in the context. Thank you.